For decades, you had to come here to Las Vegas to gamble on sports. Now, in more and more states across the country, you can place that bet anytime, anywhere, right from your own phone. In 2018, the Supreme Court struck down a federal law banning sports betting. This allowed states to legalize it on their own. Today, there are 33 states, as well as Washington, D.C., where sports betting is legalized. In 4 states, it is legal, but not yet operational. There are 24 states plus D.C. where online gaming is live, with 3 on the way. This movement has completely rocked the sports world. It has impacted everything from the way sports are consumed, how they are covered by the media, and even the way leagues and teams operate. However, this hasn't always been the case. When legendary sportscaster Dick Stockton started his career, the landscape around gambling was very different.
It was the biggest taboo in all of sports that if you gambled, that was going to open the doors to possibly point shaving, as we've seen in college basketball in the past, fixing of games and things like this. I remember Yankee Stadium in the 50s and 60s had a big sign on their scoreboard, "No betting permitted." In my view, it has gone from the biggest taboo to come on in. It's the biggest rush in sports today.
Over the years, different forms of gambling have worked their way into the sports world.
Years ago, we had a program where we wanted fans to do a certain thing, and if that certain thing happened, all fans in the stadium would be able to take their ticket to a Carl's Jr. and get a free Carl's Jr. burger, right? Basically, it was gambling. It is a major thing that's been going along, whether it's simple fantasy type gambling or whether it's, a tit for tat kind of gambling.
Small scale gambling has always been intertwined with going to a sports game.
I did it when I was a kid, back in the dark ages when there weren't video screens. And you'd sit with your friends and you'd just debate who's this, who's that. Oh yeah, you want to bet on it? Basically, as a kid, we were gambling for drinks and hot dogs. And
the money generated from the popularity of fantasy sports has led to the support from sports leagues.
When they got into the fantasy world, they were making money off the fantasy leagues. But it's not, I don't think it's just people are doing it, let's allow them the accommodation. It's not where the mind of owners are.
The push for legalized sports betting mirrors social trends here in the United States.
The attitudes of the people of the United States who don't look at it as negatively as it once was. But things have changed. The lifestyles that people have accepted, like everything. People are more lax, I think, on a lot of issues that used to be hot button issues.
Now that gambling is legal in most states, it has exploded in popularity. And there are many who believe it can make watching sports better.
It's just having some skin in the game. It's like you love sports, you're watching it, but even if you put down a couple of dollars and you could parlay that into $50, some beer money, some wings money, you're not trying to get rich off of it, but every once in a while you feel good. No, I picked that game, and you win $50, you know what I mean? And you go out and grab some beers and wings. You feel good. It's a good night.
Once you get to a certain age, they may follow their favorite NFL team or their college football team, but after a while they just become, I don't want to say necessarily jaded, but just kind of worn out on sports. So if you're betting it, it keeps you engaged at a daily level because you have to pay really close attention to a variety of different things that are involved in it.
Nowadays, you can't turn on a sports show or game without some sort of gambling segment or graphic showing lines. It is the norm in the media now, and there's an obvious factor of why.
Absolutely. I mean, and it's the same subject, money. I mean, gambling websites or gambling companies sponsor games and sponsor pregame shows.
Rob Parker hosts The Odd Couple on Fox Sports Radio. Similar to many other sports shows, they have a popular segment called Shekel City where Rob gives his best bets for the night.
It is popular. Not the most popular, but it is popular for sure. I just think it's fun. You're not gonna make a gazillion dollars. I'm not trying to tell people I know everything about sports. I used to get so much feedback and emails or stuff on social media saying, do more picks.
The media needs to make sure that they don't go too far and allow the gambling to overshadow the game and decrease the quality of their content.
Aspects of it that I think are are different, that, really have hurt sports and sports fans. That's all they talk about, because you can only go so far in talking about, well, who has the better defense today and how will Aaron Rodgers lead the Packers to a division win and all that stuff. They have no idea. I'm not saying I have the idea. I'm just saying no one has an idea. So now they go on top of that, and now they talk about why a team will cover or why a team won't cover. And so what happens is they have all the wrong reasons why.
The way we see ads has also changed, but this isn't something that is completely new.
It's not growing the game, it's growing the business. When I was a New York baseball Giant fan growing up, there would be packs of cigarettes on the scoreboard. Every team had beer sponsorships. Mel Allen, who was the great Yankees broadcaster in the 50s, after a game was over, and he would recap the game and would open up a bottle of Ballantine ale and would take sips while he was recounting the game. So you could say, well, look, you're encouraging people to drink.
The growth of gambling has the potential to improve the in-stadium experience for fans. There are numerous stadiums across the country that have a sportsbook inside or just outside, but now teams are looking to go beyond.
Or whether it's fan versus fan opportunities. You go on an airplane, you could play games with people in the back of the plane. And we do some of that with the stadium entertainment today. It's just not a formal gamble or some kind of, payout. It's just for fun for us. It's also doing it against the house, creating games where, hey, if you can rack up all these points, you get whatever at the concession stand. It's opportunities that previously didn't exist to not only infuse a little more fun and involvement and connection to the game, but it also provides you with incremental revenue opportunities.
Back in 2014, NBA Commissioner Adam Silver published an op-ed on the inevitable legalization of gambling and how it needs to be embraced. Sports leagues and franchises around the country are now benefiting from the financial reward of partnerships with sportsbooks. For example, according to a study by Sponsor United, sports betting revenue for the NFL increased by 40% last year. Beyond the partnership dollars, gambling also presents an opportunity for leagues and teams to attract new viewers and fans.
I think these teams need to own it and find ways to make it more of an opportunity and an enhancement to their entertainment dollar, because I could sit home, watch 15 games at a time, just flipping my channels. For the environment of sport, like an actually a spectator sport, and going there, what can I do to make it more fun for them to go?
So it's changed the dynamic. To me, if I'm lacrosse, if I'm one of these smaller outlier sports, I would be going all in. I would immerse myself in it. This is going to be paramount to the success of our league and going forward and how we perform, because it's going to draw people in. If you bet on a lacrosse match or you bet on a football game, you have the same interest. Now, as a casual fan, you'll probably watch football over lacrosse unless you're a diehard lacrosse person. But from a betting standpoint, it's the same at the end of the day.
Gambling presents an opportunity for baseball specifically to improve their product.
Baseball, you have 162 games, and the pace of the game allows you to be able to bet on, is the next pitch a strike? It's all these things as you're watching the game you could actually partake in or and gamble on. So I think that there's going to be a big market for that.
But there's also a potential for gambling to hurt the fan experience.
I think it takes away the rooting of a team. Because if you happen to, when I was growing up a million years ago, I was a New York football Giant fan. And if they were 3-7, I wanted them to become 4-7 on a given Sunday. I didn't know what the point spread was. I didn't care. But what happens is you root for a team covering more than you even root for your team winning. In other words, you take away the exhilaration of having my team and my town win a game.
In order to not lose that, it is best to avoid betting with your heart.
They'll be mad if they don't cover, but I don't see how, you know what I mean? Like, I think it's more like the reaction afterwards. And most people, fans, you never bet with your heart anyway. You shouldn't be, if that's your team, you probably should stay away from betting.
Teams have to walk a tightrope in their relationship with gambling so fans don't turn against the players.
Negative stats out there that people are gambling. You just got to be sure that that's not what's happening, that you go, screw that Freddie Freeman, the guy can't make me any money. At some point you have to look at it and go, are we creating a world where this Freddie Freeman is now a commodity and people are going to get angry with him if they're not hitting their number, versus becoming a fan of my team and rallying so that we win a championship?
Regardless if it changes where a fan's heart lies, sports betting does affect the way a fan consumes sports.
It changes how you view things, right? Like if you have a financial interest in a business, you take it so much more seriously than you would if you're just working as an employee. And I think it's the same thing from sports betting. People view it differently. They're going to approach it differently. They're going to see sports differently. You're going to have an interest in a game if it's a 20-point blowout, but you've got an over-under on a total.
With the widespread growth of gambling, there comes a greater difficulty in maintaining the integrity of the game.
Well, I think athletes betting on games is the worst thing of all. When an athlete bets on a game, I mean, if you're betting on your team to win, you may bet that your team loses. You know, betting and gambling is an addiction. So to say I'm not going to bet because my team may not win, well, I'm going to bet that we don't win. Integrity of the game is the biggest thing we have going for it. And it's under fire in so many areas. The gambling thing in general engenders distrust. Nobody can tell me where it's a good thing.
Leagues and teams need to do a better job in the regulation and education of the rules surrounding gambling. There have already been suspensions in the NFL regarding the breaking of gambling rules. However, with the money in sports today, the concern it will truly become a widespread problem is less than ever before.
Number one, the Calvin Ridley situation, people that are unfamiliar, it's like he made a parlay bet when he was on injured reserve. Honestly, I just think he was bored. He was at home and he made a mistake. That's honestly what it is. That bet cost him $11 million, right? Like that's arguably the biggest bet ever made because that's what he was suspended for a season. That's the salary it cost him. If you are betting from the team standpoint, the money and the income levels are too great in sports for people to risk it. They understand what's at stake and they're not going to jeopardize themselves in that situation. And the leagues do a great job of monitoring it. It is hard to wager a lot of money without drawing some red flags. Las Vegas and other states, these people have been doing it long enough to know what to look for in discrepancies and other things like that along the way.
There is a much greater concern when it comes to lower revenue college sports. There have been numerous investigations in recent weeks regarding gambling from players and coaches. Another issue comes from states where gambling is illegal because it hasn't stopped fans from placing bets. A study from the American Gaming Association estimates that bettors placed around $63.8 billion in illegal sports bets in 2022. And there are some very real dangers that come with gambling on off-the-record sports books.
I've heard of like a bunch of books that just like friends of mine or acquaintances of mine have that are just bet on this thing and then every week you get a Venmo payment from your bookie, but your bookie could just like ghost you. And it is like sketchy. Like there's not a ton of regulation. So I think like with legalization could come more safety harnesses. People that want to bet are always going to bet.
Whether you like it or not, gambling is here to stay and only getting more and more popular.
It will be ingrained into the society, like the same way we follow sports and read about it. I don't think there's certain things I don't think are going to be big, like gambling radio. They've tried it, some gambling TV shows. I don't think there's enough meat on those bones, but I think it'll be a part of, there'll be some gambling segments, small segments inside of other shows.
The expansion of sports gambling is just another barrier in sports that has been broken. Its relationship with sports and fans will continue to evolve. Just as ads on jerseys are the norms today, gambling will be the norm in the future, and the new generation of sports fans will grow up alongside gambling. There will be new opportunities to improve the sports world, but there will inevitably be more controversy to come along with it.